My book is full of only Bangladeshi and Pakistani sources. I have rarely used any Indian source. If I use Indian source, they will say it's biased, right? The main problem is the liberals, they have a very weird way of doing looking at things in the world. They live in a very unreal world and they want to impose the unreal world on the real world. It is not, real world is projected in their writings, their writings are projected into the real world. So they actually thought that it would be a good idea to have a state, Muslim majority state, being sort of being an icon of secular liberal culture. And this is what Amartya Sen has done over the years. He has spent maybe a few days in his childhood, a few years perhaps, in, that time's Bangladesh. But he talks about Bangladesh as if he lives in there and he is talking from lived experience. The book starts with his quote. He said that Muslims in Bangladesh, they have a broad-mindedness that is not observed among Hindus. Now he is writing this, let's analyze the statement. He is saying this in 2019. In 2013 to 15, many atheist bloggers and activists and humanist activists were killed in Bangladesh. I have given the names, a few names, and I have dedicated my book to them. Now these atheists are being killed systematically just for being atheists, for no other reason.
Namaste friends, welcome to Sangam Talks for another session. Today we have with us Dr. Kausik Gangopadhyay. Namaste sir, welcome to Sangam Talks. Thank you for coming. So he is a senior economist and today we will discuss about his new book which is called The Joy Bangla Deception, this one. So this book is about the perception we have about this slogan called Joy Bangla, and not only that, about the whole ecosystem of the perception of Bengalis have about the religious feature of Bangladesh, which maybe most of Bengalis think that it is fundamentally a secular state. It used to be, and now it's changing fast. But maybe that's not the case, right, sir? So before I start, I will introduce Dr. Kausik Gangopadhyay. He is an economist who earned his PhD from the University of Rochester in 2007. He is a professor at the Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode. He has published many articles in reputed referred international journals and has a co-edited book published by Springer Verlag. He also enjoys writing popular articles, having published in outlets like DNA, First Post, Swarajya and Mathrubhumi. Also have written a critically acclaimed book which is called A Vegetarian Myth. So this is his second book and co-authored with Debasis ji. So sir, I will start with my first question. So the myth of 21st February. A narrative exists that the Bengali Muslims of East Pakistan, that is now Bangladesh, were for flourishing mother language and linguistic diversity, but actually it is entirely a fake narrative. The real fight for Bengali as language official was done by Jirendranath Datta, a Congress member who chose to stay in Pakistan and work for people's welfare there. What is this all about, sir? The myth of 21st century. What do you mean by that?
So essentially, 21st February is celebrated as the World Mother Tongue Day, Mother Language Day. Not by Bangladeshis, but throughout the world, by the United Nations and all, right? So the question is that does it deserve this sort of an acclaim? That is one part of this story. The second part of the story is really 21st February is about love for mother language. So there are both of these things we can talk about both of them. So let's talk about the second one first. So let's see the story of this 21st February. So this classical story is the students of the Dhaka University, they were asking for recognition of the mother tongue. They were going there and the police fired on them. And four of the
1971.
No, this is in 1952. Okay. 21st February 1952. So this is and this is sort of these and there are actually another person died on 22nd February. So these four people are called the martyrs, and they are called, so in Bengali we have a sort of acronym called BORSAJ. BORSAJ means Borkat, Rafiq, Salam Jabbar.
Okay.
So these 4 persons, and then these are and in Dhaka there is sort of, these 4 persons are sort of, there is a memorial, language memorial, where there are sort of 4 small monuments, possibly symbolizing these 4 persons, right? And there is also statue of 5 of them. This is murtis, right? And these murtis include another person who died next day, Mujibur Rahman. Now let's see, were they really students of Dhaka University? So one of them was a student, who is Abul Barkat, but the other 3 persons, none of them was a student of the all other 4 persons. None of them was a student of a Dhaka University, or not even a student. One person came there to buy some medicines for his mother-in-law. One person came to Dhaka for purchasing some things for his own marriage, and then another person was going to work, and on the way sort of got shot.
Just like that.
Just like that. And there are some 2 kids also died, one rickshawala also died. So this sort of a thing. So 8 persons they say have died, and these are the profiles. So okay, this is one part of the story. So basically this classic story that this Dhaka University student, and there is a dissident in Pakistan, his name is Lal Khan. Lal Khan wrote a book, and there is also a lot of talk on that day. So these are all these things I have quoted in my book. I am not talking from my own inference or my own hypothesis. These are all noted in Bangladeshi newspapers or in the Pakistani sources. In fact, my book is full of only Bangladeshi and Pakistani sources. I have rarely used any Indian source. If I use Indian source, they will say it's biased, right? So I use only, more or less only about this Bangladeshi Pakistan source, or some international sources like American researchers or some International Commission of Justice, all these sort of sources. Now that day, people say actually many more died, but the bodies were sort of disposed of. Nobody knows about it. In fact, Lal Khan, a dissident Pakistani, he estimates 26 people died that. The other 18 and other, nobody knows about their identity, right? So it is not impossible that these 18 people are from a different sort of religious background and all. So this is an inference only, hypothesis only, we don't know about it. But the classical narrative is wrong, right? That is what is coming out to be true. Second aspect is that if you are actually in favor of a mother tongue, you have to be sort of for all people's mother tongue. Right, not only yours. If I am a Bengali, I say Bengali should enjoy its status as, as my mother tongue of different people. Then I have to be respectful of others' mother tongue, whether it is Malayalam or Telugu or Hindi, whatever it is, right? But if you go to Bangladesh, that is not the case. If you go there in Bangladesh, no other language is recognized in any level except Bengali. The question is Bangladesh really that a monolingual country? The chances are that it's not, because I'll give you one example. If you go to Russia, it has a lesser population than Bangladesh, and it has recognized 35 languages. And if you go to Switzerland, much tinier country population wise, right, and it has recognized 4 of them. If you go to West Bengal, the same context as Bangladesh, we have recognized Hindi, Nepali, Urdu, Maithili, and Rajbongshi, Kamtapuri. So we have recognized many small languages at different levels. Bangladesh, they have not recognized even one. In fact, right after the creation of Bangladesh, one community, small tribal community, small means small in the context of Bangladesh population, but they have a lot of people in a place called Chittagong Hill Tracts. They are called Chakmas. Chakmas speak a very different language than Bengali. And they were an autonomous community throughout the history. So their leader, Manovendra Narayan Larma, he came to Mujib and he asked for recognition of the autonomy of Chakmas, including language. And Mujib said, very derogatory language, become Bengalis, go away. This is how he treated a person. And if you now say that Bangladesh is for, this is what UN says, Bangladesh is for recognition of mother tongue, plurality, then this is an insult. It's a big slap to the Chakmas, the marginalized people, that you are celebrating Bangladesh after they have done a very bigoted attitude.
We know about the narrative that Bengalis are fighting for their mother tongue and they are forcefully treated as second-class citizen by the Pakistani administration. But they are doing the same thing with their own people.
The second part is also a big lie. That Pakistan treated Bangla as a second class citizen, that is also not kind of correct. If you look at Pakistan, yes, there is a lot of hesitancy initially to give any recognition to Bangla, and this persisted till few years. But in 1956 they promulgated their constitution, and there they said Urdu and Bangla are both their state languages. And then it was again, the constitution was revised in 1962 when Ayub Khan, General Ayub Khan was the premier of the state, and again they said in that new constitution that Bengali and Urdu and Bengali are their national languages. So they kept the equal status. Now question is, was it really in constitution and in practice also? In practice also, if you, I have given everything in my book in chapter 6. If you go to the currencies, Pakistani currencies, the Bengali script was equally there as much as Urdu. After that, there is no incentive, right? Bangladesh was recognized in 1974 by Pakistan. Okay. After that, they have no reason to keep there. But in spite of that, one Bengali speaking Muslim who actually migrated to Pakistan, his name is Nurul Amin. He was a chief minister of East Pakistan for some time. He died. His body was buried in a national monument. It is called, it is in Karachi. It is called Mazar-e-Qaed. Matlab, this is the Jinnah's mausoleum, it is commonly called. Jinnah mausoleum. In the Jinnah mausoleum, Nurul Amin's body is also there. Their Bengali script is even there. Even after recognition of Bangladesh, they have denied. So they have done most honorably after 1956 about Bengali language.
Yes, the all affiliations, all of things, it just comes to a single thing, religion. We'll talk about that later maybe. And the thing is that, so the narrative is wrong, and what I'm curious about that, how that small thing, the 4 martyrs, and for one language which may be the 6th most used language in the world, how that thing get traction, and that grand narrative that it became the 21st February became the International Day of Mother Tongue.
I would say the main problem is the liberals. They have a very weird way of doing looking at things in the world. They live in a very unreal world, and they want to impose the unreal world on the real world. It is not, real world is projected in their writings, their writings are projected into the real world. So they actually thought that it would be a good idea to have a state, Muslim majority state, being sort of being an icon of secular liberal culture. And this is what Amartya Sen has done over the years. He has spent maybe a few days in his childhood, a few years perhaps, in, that time's Bangladesh. But he talks about Bangladesh as if he lives in there, and he is talking from lived experience. I have quoted here in my book, the book starts with his quote. He said that Muslims in Bangladesh, they have a broad-mindedness that is not observed among Hindus. Now he is writing this, let's analyze the statement. He is saying this in 2019. In 2013 to 15, many atheist bloggers and activists and humanist activists were killed in Bangladesh. I have given the names, a few names, and I have dedicated my book to them. Now these atheists are being killed systematically just for being atheists, for no other reason. I have spoken actually one of them who survived the attack. But the now question is it that is something happening in India? The atheists are being killed not for being Hindu. Amartya Sen himself is an atheist. Right, and he is there, he visits all these places and all. I am considered myself an atheist. So there is absolutely no discrimination against atheists, absolutely, and he knew it, because between 13 to 15 these people died and all, and this also came in the international media. Suppose I assume that Amartya Sen does not read Bangladeshi newspapers, but he would be reading New York Times or Washington Post. There all these news have come also. So how he is really saying it? So it has to be ignorance, but ignorance from a Nobel laureate actually is quite dangerous, I would say. Personally,
sir, I must tell you that personally I think that I don't have to look good to someone else to step into their path. So tell myself I am an atheist. I am proud enough to be which religion I belong to.
That's fine. So the point is, India has nothing against the atheists, right? But Bangladesh has. Yeah. So why are you really saying that they are more broad-minded than the Hindus of India?
And why have to drag Hindus into it?
That's another part of the story, of course.
So the real meaning of Joy Bangla, Bengalis of West Bengal and also Bangladesh narrative, that is the ruling establishment of West Bengal, think that Joy Bangla means victory to Bengal. But is it really that victory to Bengal? What is the history of that slogan, Joy Bangla?
So the history of the slogan, this started by Mujibur Rahman. So once another Sarkar, he was a very prominent Bengali literature. He was also an ICS officer. So he asked Mujib, how did you get inspiration about this slogan Joy Bangla? And Mujib said, well, this is inspired from the idea called United Bengal. Now what is United Bengal? United Bengal is, there is a big massacre happened in Bengal. It's called the Great Calcutta Killings in 1946, and then Noakhali, massive genocide of Hindus. And that time it's called Prime Minister, basically the head of the state, for the Bengal state, Sohrawardy, the Muslim League leader, right? And then Sama Prasad, he actually moved a proposal that you have to partition Bengal because the Hindu Bengalis, they need a homeland. And this got a lot of traction because the Congress, the Bengal Congress, they joined it enthusiastically with Sama Prasad, Atulya Ghosh, Bidhan Chandra Roy, they sort of came together and joined him. And also Communist Party was forever against, but when they saw that their electorate is primarily in West Bengal, at the last moment they also supported it. Now when this is being done, that time this Sohrawardy actually made a conspiracy. She said that we don't need to divide Bengal, we make a separate Bengal province. And this was backed by, unfortunately, by elder brother of Subhas Bose, Sharad Bose. But Sharad Bose, even unfortunately, he did not have the acumen, political acumen of his younger brother. Whatever people were saying, he used to believe that. And then he proposed this United Bengal, and after this massacre, it was a politically very difficult proposition, right? Then Mujib is saying he is inspired by that. So the idea of Bangladesh is to make the entire Bengal, right, into it. You see my point? And this has been made more explicit by an Awami League leader. I've given reference in 2018, he was a cabinet minister and very influential person, Shahjahan. And he said that Joy Bangla cannot be a slogan for the Hindus. Because essentially what he implied, it means conquest of Bengal, not victory to Bengal. He said that my prophet said, Fatun Makkah means I will win Makkah. So Makkah, we know that it was a basically pagan, the Quraysh tribe was pagan and it was sort of being conquered by the Prophet Muhammad.
Pagan Jewish?
No, mostly pagan. It was mostly pagan. So it was conquered by the Prophet over them. And then he said because his mother tongue was Arabic, he said Fatun Makkah. My mother tongue is Bengali, so I am saying Joy Bangla. But so this essentially means conquest, and he essentially said that Hindus cannot say it because Hindus are not winning Bengal. Muslims are winning Bengal, right? And in Bangladesh, Hindus are not called Bengali usually. Hindus are called Indians, and Muslims they call themselves Bengali. So this is a basically hijacking of the identity in some sense of the term. The word, if you go back to the late 19th century, a very prominent personality was Syed Ahmed Khan. He was the founder of the Anglo-Oriental College that has shaped itself as Aligarh Muslim University. Now, he has this very big, very famous speech in Meerut. In that speech, he said that in Bengal, half of the people are only Bengalis, half of them are Muslims. So essentially, the Bengali speaking Muslims, he called them Muslims, he never called them Bengali. And Bengali identity was reserved for the Hindus. Now in Bangladesh, after reversal of the identity, the Hindus are excluded from the Bengali identity. It is only Muslims, and Hindus are being equated with Indians. And so this is, you can see how this identity is being hijacked in the name of language. It is another way of looking at imperialism.
Right. The history we know about Mujibur Rahman is not totally as it is.
But Mujibur, to be fair to him, although he has paved the narrative and all, but the other side is actually extremely, I mean, even more sort of Islamists. So, Mujibur pales in comparison to them, but he is not a secular. So, the moment we can think, Hindus, we can, or Indians, we can think very clearly what is going on. It will help us to understand how to deal with them.
And maybe it's a matter of discussion. Maybe Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, he is marked as the culprit of the partition of Bengal, but that's maybe not the case at all. He had the political maturity to think that that's the last resort we have.
So, of course, he did the partition of Bengal, but point is he saved the Bengalis, he gave them a breeding space, at least Hindu Bengalis, for a few decades. If you look at the Sindhis, Sindhis are a very influential community in some sense, right? They were, right? L.K. Advani, our deputy prime minister, he was a Sindhi. But there is no movie made in Sindhi because they don't have a really community, Sindhi community.
What happened in Kashmir?
Kashmir also, Kashmiri Pandits. So, Sindhis, they are lost. I mean, although they are individually they are successful and all, but as a community, there is no Sindhi community, they don't have any clout per se. The language is sort of almost lost, right? It is not pursued by anyone much, right? So, similarly, Bengalis, had they not followed the Shyama Prasad in supporting his idea.
We Bengalis also, at least from the Bengalis from West Bengal in India, we are somewhat losing our identity also in international
That is also true.
stage.
Now, I have given two examples of that. One is Mujibur Rahman is being called the best Bengali, the greatest Bengali in the 1,000-year history by the BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation, right? Now, you see, there is a lot of issues on that. Firstly, Mujibur Rahman and 1,000 years, so Bengali, the identity Bengali, it is a very old name. Banga has been mentioned in the Vedic literature. It is, we have at least 4,000, 5,000 years of history. I am not going to tell all that about it. There is
Anga, Banga, Pundra.
Anga, Banga, Kalinga. In Mahabharata, Banga has been mentioned as one of the very prominent place, right? There is one Basudev. Basudev is Krishna, but there is another Basudev in Mahabharata who used to be the anti Krishna, and he was in Bengali, I mean, that time also. Yeah. So there are many things there. Now, this identity is being reduced to 1,000 years. Why? Because Muslims, they feel, entered Bengal 800, 900 years ago, or maybe 1,000, and so that's why they are restricted to 1,000. Secondly, if you want to look at good people from Bengal, there are many great literatures, right? We have Jaydev, we have Chandidas, who said that Savar Upore Manushotto. So, man is the greatest humanist, right, of the medieval age, Chandidas. We have also Rabindranath Tagore, who won a Nobel Prize as the first Asian. They are not greatest Bengalis. We have Subhash Chandra Bose, the first recognized first premier of India, in fact undivided India. He is not greatest Bengali. We also have great kings like King Shashanko or Devpal, and these people, they are not also great Bengali of 1,000 years, right? And then we have great religious figures like Sri Chaitanya. So all these people are, there is any day, if you ask any person, any intellectual in India or in the subcontinent, these people are way more known than Mujibur Rahman's contribution, who was not even an undisputed leader of Bangladesh before 1966, and even his legacy also did not last much. So why are you making it 1,000 years? Unless you want to confer the Bengali identity on the Bangladesh side, right? Secondly, if you go to Encyclopedia Britannica says, and I have quoted in my book, that Bengali started when a large number of people migrated from Middle East to Bengal. Middle East to Bengal in the 8th century. Seriously. Now there is no such record anywhere. The large number, so the first Muslims who came to Bengal, by Ikhtiaruddin being Bakhtiyar Khilji, who destroyed the Nalanda University, this happened in the 1200 AD, around 1200 AD. So that is the 800 years, right? But there, because they have to deny the ancient history, they have to start the Bengal, this name, identity, to this migration of the Muslim people into. And this is how they have made it.
So, yes,
And these are the, I am not saying ABCD are saying that, these are the reputed figures, right? Encyclopedia Britannica, BBC. So, these liberals, they are wanted to have Bangladesh have the Bengali identity and exclude the others from this. So, this is why my book, see the Islamists, they are often ignorant people. They are extremely ignorant people, they don't know. So, I have my friend Abdullah Al Masood. Abdullah Al Masood was a principal of a madrasa in Dhaka. And he got, later he got out himself, he progressed, he outgrown himself. And he resigned and now he left it, he left Bangladesh. But he says that these liberals, they want Islamism to be there in the lower levels, so that their hierarchical position is not threatened. Because they know these Dafar Islamists, they cannot really run a state and governance in the modern age. They need intellectuals like us, right? Now, but they also don't want, so they want Islamism to have there to some extent. But they don't want in the upper echelon, they don't want to show we are Islamists. So they give an aura of secularity to other people. And this aura sort of impresses our Bengali intellectuals who visit Bangladesh once in a while and other things.
So, the whole thing about the Awami League, the party created by Mujibur Rahman. So, this is all about political. The independence movement, the Bangladesh movement, independent from Pakistan. So, that's purely political movement. Nothing to do with the language. And is the undercurrent is the religion, of course. So, sir, creation of Bangladesh has nothing to do with the respect of Bengali language. Pakistan has offered all of the official recognition to Bengali like Urdu since 1956. There was absolutely no discrimination against the Bengali language, but still the narrative is going on. So you also already covered it. Could you please explain it more in this context?
So the Bangladesh, how was it created? If you see, it's the Awami League's the leader Mujib. He was not even the most important leader in Awami League till 1966 or so. That time he launched a program. It is called 6-point program. 6-point program is about getting some 6.
Oh, sir, I stand corrected then that I said that Awami League is created by Mujibur Rahman. That's not.
Awami League was created by a bunch of people. One of them is Maulana Bhasani. One of them was our Surabordi. Who's called Butcher of Bengal of Butcher, and the other then of course Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was only one post, but these two persons Bhasani and Surabordi, they were above him.
And Butcher of Bengal, Mujibur Rahman is the best disciple of Mujibur. That Butcher of Bengal.
Mujibur Rahman is a disciple of. We can discuss on Mujib, but let me just go back to this question and hand, then we can come back here, the Mujib story and all. Now, what happened, this 6-point program, how did it happen? Pakistan was army rule, of course that time Bangladesh was East Pakistan, and West Pakistan is what we know as Pakistan now. So that time, the army rule continued from 1956 onwards in some form, and then Ayub Khan, he took over power, and it is called Golden Rule of Pakistan and all, but it continued till 60s. Now in his rule, the power was with the Kateri, the Punjabi Kateri, which is the army Kateri and all, and Bangladeshi politicians, I mean these Pakistani politicians had no say on any affairs. This has been documented by another Awami League chief minister of East Pakistan. His name is Ataur Rahman Khan. So he said that absolutely everything is without her. Now in this rule, what was happening? West Pakistan was prospering, but East Pakistan was not prospering. So I have shown economic data wise how the gap between East Pakistan and West Pakistan is increasing, was increasing day by day. This was creating dissent in every level. In the lower level, people were unhappy that their currency values, I mean whatever the prices are much higher in East Pakistan, because West Pakistan they have a higher purchasing power, right? So when they are coming, they could buy it easily, but for these people it is higher value. So this high value of foods and other things, this is showing this content. In the middle level, the middle class was unhappy because they are not getting good jobs, and in the army and other places the jobs were all being taken by the West Pakistanis. Then in the top level, politicians are also unhappy because they did not have any decision making power. So this 6 points program was all about these economic aspects. None of the 6 points talks about anything about language or culture.
And the discrimination, can I safely say that it's all about the caste system within Islam? Like the
That I cannot say that well. I mean, my research doesn't say that. No, that I mean, I would only say what is documented and all.
Yes.
If there is undertone, he is not captured in the documents. I can't say that. But what I will say that if two nations are separated, two regions are separated, they soon became very different. One example is North Korea and South Korea. They were same Korea 70, 80 years ago. Now, if you look at the height of the South Koreans, they are higher. Their height is significantly more because there is a lot of famines in North Korea and all, right? And their cultures are also vastly different. South Koreans, they use anglicized form of Korean, but the North Koreans, they have a very different form of Korean, right? So, this is what happened because of a barrier. Now, if you look at East Pakistan or West Pakistan, there is a huge barrier. They are sort of geographically disconnected. So, in this way, it is very difficult, right, to maintain sort of a national one way to keep it. I think that is sort of happened in some sense of the term. And of course, this Punjabi, the racial means the Punjabis, they have the Koteri. This is a character of Pakistan because with these Baloch people, right, they are also revolting now because it's a centralized way of doing things, an army way.
No, constitutionally, Pakistan don't recognize Ahmadiyas as Islamic.
That actually, because they form a very literate. So this is related to more of my other book, Majoritarian Myth. When you have a story that you want to unite people based on a theory, let's say literal Islam as a theory, you always need an other, someone who is not an Islam, because that's how it works.
Like communism works.
Like communism works. That is my another proposition related in book, but that's a sort of a different story than the particularly in Bangladesh. It's a sort of a Pakistan story, you might say.
How he became prominent in Bangladesh.
So Mujib was born in the family of a Derbez, and Derbez came from Iraq. So as a child, so he was basically Ashraf class, top class and all. He was a volunteer for Muslim League in his youth. And Sohrawardi was sort of the leader, Said Hussain Sohrawardi. So he actually came in contact with Mujib during a program and they became very close. Mujib that time actually, it is said he actually stabbed a person in the house
college life.
Not even college, school sort of.
Before college.
He passed matriculation around 20 or so. So that time he stabbed actually one Hindu Mahasabha leader, Suren Banerjee's place, one person he stabbed. And then what happened, Mujib in his autobiography, he says that the stabbing happened because of, it is not a stabbing, it is I just hit by a stick or something. But I have studied the penal code of those times, and the fine that was imposed upon him was a huge, 1500 rupees, which is in current terms should be more than 35 lakh or so, maybe. So that much money would have not been taken for a merely hitting by a stick. It has to be something more serious than that.
Almost in context, capital punishment.
High punishment. Now, after it was done, then Mujib actually, he came to Kolkata. His autobiography, he mentioned it. And in 16 August 1946, he was there on the streets of Kolkata leading the Muslim. He denies that he attacked the Hindus. He said the Hindus were attacking, he said that. But the question is, does the history says that? Now let's say all the Hindu witnesses of 1946, they are all liars. We will only consider the Muslim witnesses to be truthful ones. Even then, the story is not very pleasant. Mujib actually, the Muslims, it is sort of, there are many Muslim witnesses like Badruddin Umar. He has written many books, 100 books or so. He's a very scholarly person. So he has actually said that that day he saw the Muslim League Gundas, they are attacking Hindus. Then there is a lady professor in the Lady Brabourne College, Muslim lady professor, who said that it is actually Muslims who are looting and things. Then again, there is a Abul Mansur Ahmed, who was an editor of a journal, daily in Kolkata, Ittihad. And he was also, he says, he was also became a very cabinet minister in the Pakistan, very prominent person, became a cabinet minister in Pakistan. And later he was awarded the National Award of Bangladesh. He also said in his autobiography that it is actually the responsibility lies with the Muslim League. So I have noted documentation references, all are in my book. So I am saying that categorically that day Hindus have not attacked, it is coming sort of clear. Then what Mujib is saying, how can we sort of believe that?
There are only maybe some resistances from the Hindi community.
That is also not on 16th August, that also came on 17th August after they saw the police is not working. So, but that is the next day or next to next day, but what Mujib is saying is not very reliable, number one. Number two is recently his house was destroyed in Dhanmondi, unfortunately, and I regret it. But from this, the people who destroyed his house, they are claiming there are some documents that show his direct involvement in 16 August 1946. Unfortunately, the documents are not public and their authenticity, even if they are public, their authenticity has to be verified. So I did not mention it even in my book, but it probably shows that his role is not above suspicion, Mujib's role, right, in 1946. Now Mujib, then eventually he came there. But what happened, these coterie of Muslim League, they found that they got very little power, Suraburdi and all these people. So they broke away, calling themselves Awami Muslim League. Now they were a dissident faction of Muslim League. Now then what happened, that time there was a separate electorate between Hindus and Muslim. And the Hindus used to vote for Pakistan National Congress. Pakistan National Congress was basically the breakaway group of Indian National Congress who are stuck there. Dhirendranath Dutt was one person of Pakistan National Congress who proposed that let Bengali be the national language, right, in 1948. And of course, he is given some honor, Shahid and all, because he was killed, but he is more of a footnote. The language movement starts with Barkat Rafiq. I mean, that's a point we might add. Now, these Pakistan National Congress, they used to get the vote of the Hindus. Now, what happened? Mujib and the Pakistan National Congress got a pact that we will go into joint electorate for Hindus and Muslims together. And Awami Muslim League, they did not get power because Hindus that time used to believe another person, politician, whose name is Fazlul Haq. Fazlul Haq was the leader of the Krishak Proja Party and later he became Krishak Proja Party, Shramik Party. Fazlul Haq was a Muslim, but he was more trusted by the Hindus. So his teacher was Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray, the great scientist from West Bengal. So he actually said that Fazlul Haq is, I like him, I think he is the person who can make Hindus and Muslims together. Now Fazlul Haq is a sort of nuanced person, not everything he did is for secular cause and all, but still he was to be more liked by everyone. And which you can see now, that this is why Hindus used to vote for him in Bangladesh. So Mujib and these people, they are you remember, these are the Suraburdi's people who actually murdered, Kolkata massacre and all. Now these people, they dropped the Muslim from their name. So from Awami Muslim League, it became Muslim League. And the joint electorate, it tried to, Awami League. And then it created a secular identity. And Hindus have no choice after some political stories that to vote for Awami League. Now, this is the story of Mujib. Now, what happened? Mujib, when he became premier, what did he do? He actually called for, the first day he gave a speech in Bangladesh as the head of the state, 1972 January. He said that I am a Muslim. As a public speech in front of lakhs of people who have come to celebrate Bangladesh, he is saying I am a Muslim. This doesn't bode well, right? Doesn't be for secularity. Secondly, he said that it is the second most Muslim country. Doesn't bode well again, right? Well. Thirdly, he says, perform munazat. Munazat is an Islamic ritual. Munazat is an Islamic ritual. It is like we do Hindus, we do folded hands and all and do some rituals, right? In a secular state, we don't do that in public, like in Republic Day. We don't do that. We have some secular way of presenting. But in Bangladesh, they made it a sort of an Islamic ritual on a public meeting.
Maybe I think that it's foolish of us, the politicians and all, the whole society, to see them from our lens, like our false lens of secularism.
Actually, I would say they were not deceived. Joy Bangla is a deception for us.
Yes.
Because if you see the very close person of Mujib was Abul Mansur Ahmed, who was, I told you a little while ago, he was the editor and he was a big person. In fact, people say that he actually wrote the 6 points program. It is not Mujib. That is what the story is. Now what happened then, this Abul Mansur Ahmed, he said after this Mujib speech that Bangladesh is not an Islamic state, but it is a Muslim state, and the Muslimness was asserted by Mujib's speech. So he knew exactly what was going on, right? And then what happened, he and Abul Mansur Ahmed further said, Bangladesh is based on the Lahore resolution. Lahore resolution by All India Muslim League in 1940 was the cornerstone of Pakistan. Pakistan is based upon that.
Two civilization theory.
Exactly. So Bangladeshis, they are themselves are saying, and Abul Mansur Ahmed is not a radical person or anything like that. He was barely a Muslim. He did not call himself atheist, then would have been in trouble in Bangladesh. But he was almost like that. He said that I celebrate my Muslimness, I am not an Islamism or something like that. So, but he's not in Islamic but Muslimness. That's what he's talking about. A cultural way, right? Like Khusban Singh, who was an atheist, but he used to have a turban because he was a Sikh. He is a cultural icon. That's why he used to wear it. So that's how sort of Abul Mansur Rahman, and he himself is saying Bangladesh has no other narrative than Pakistan. Then what does it sort of indicate, right? Secondly, if you look at this Mujib story, then he sort of gave a general amnesty to all the Razakars, the people who actually attacked the Hindus in the 1971 time, in 1973.
So that's also a wrong narrative. The
Wrong narrative.
Is not with Razakars.
So it is nuanced. The other people want to have Razakars at their head of the state. Mujib was just giving them amnesty. So it is a moderate Islamism. That's what I am trying to tell you. The Yunus and his supporters, they are like more radical. I mean, person Yunus is not important. What his narrative he is giving is more Islamist narrative. I mean, hardcore Islamist. And Mujib and Awami League was sort of moderate way of looking at narratives. But both are Islamism. None of them is a secular or inside of a secular narrative. Then if you look at there is a very famous temple in Dhaka. It's called Ramna Kalibari. Ramna was the most prominent Hindu temple. It is 120 foot high. The tower was, minar was, I mean the peak was. And this was destroyed by the Pakistani army in the second or third day of their Operation Searchlight, I think 27 March 1971. After Mujib got power, he never gave Hindus back the Ramna Kalibari, but he actually cleared the courts, make it a field and called it Sohrawardi Udyan. He named it after the butcher of Bengal, Sohrawardi. Then he did something called, but for the Muslims, there is a congregation of Muslims called Vishwa Ijtema. It is sort of the biggest congregation of Muslims. It is more than the Hajj, annual Hajj in Makkah. And he awarded land from government for that Ijtema. So all the promises or premises of secularity are being violated from the Mujib times. Mujib times maybe this is this much, but when it goes forward it becomes this much, right? Big difference between secularity and Islamism.
And this uses of Arabic terms. It's also contradict with the Bengali language narrative.
That is what Tagore has written. Rabindranath Tagore, he has written in Probasi that, I mean just paraphrasing him, he said in unusual Tagore-like tone. So Tagore is to be very mild-mannered and mild in speech. Till he said very strongly that we Bengalis will preserve our language, we will not like to have any word you want to impose upon us. He said that. And on the Muslim effort to bring words.
And he has also some banters with Kazi Nazrul Islam with
Nazrul, I would say that he was more of a very, I would say Nazrul, I mean my book, I have nothing against Muslims, but the Islamic narrative per se. If the Nazrul kind of Islam pervaded, then Bangladesh would have not been like this. Even though Bangladesh has calls Nazrul the national poet and all, but they don't celebrate the this syncretic narrative of Nazrul. We in West Bengal, we sort of celebrate a few poems of Nazrul like Eki Brinte Duiti Kusum Hindu Musalmans, basically Hindus and Muslims.
Even Mujib is now criticized in Bangladesh.
Mujib is now criticized. So,
whole family.
because it is like this, right? When you go to the path of radicalization, it has to be always pick up and up and up, right? You cannot go back to a syncretic self.
Now that you have very beautifully explained the, as you written in this book, the disturbing features of secular Mujibur Rahman and, as he projected as a secular icon, but that not the case. So let's talk about the 1971 genocide that you referred in your book is actually a Hindu genocide. And of course, after 97 also, the silent genocide of the Hindus, it's still going on.
Now, first question is 1971, they call it Bengali genocide. And in fact, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, if you call it Hindu Bengali genocide, they become very upset. Now, if you look at the number of victims, 30 lakh, what percentage was Hindus? Now, one person has done a study based on the number of Hindus before the genocide in Bangladesh from their census, afterwards what is the number in Bangladesh, and the rise in number of Hindus in India, and from those all these things he is estimated as 25 lakh. So 85% victims were Hindus, although they were hardly 15% of the population. So basically, if you figure it out, it is one Hindu had like 30 times more chance to be a victim than a Muslim. That's number wise. As I am saying, number wise. Forget all the literary or evidence. If you look at Hitler's Nazi Holocaust, it is called Holocaust and Jews, right? It is against Jews. Jews are not the only victims. There are gypsies who are they put there.
It is recognized.
Right, it is recognized. But why is it only Jews? I mean, focused on Jews. Because gypsies and other Poles and other people, they are much less chance, right, becoming a victim. Although there are many people, the Poles died, many even Germans died, but still it is mostly against the Jews, right? They have a much bigger chance of being there. Similarly, here Hindus have a 30 times bigger chance of being a victim. So this has to be that. Now, this is not a coincidence or anything like that. It is recognized all over everywhere. So there is a very moderate Muslim general. His name is I mentioned in my book. His name is Raza, Sen Raza. So now this Raza, General Raza, he was the Major General and he was the in charge of Bangladesh. He has a book, Stranger in Your Own Land, and in this book also, it's I think published by Oxford. He actually said that Hindus are the real troublemakers. So he is sort of spewing his venom against the Hindus in that book, and he is a moderate guy. He was so moderate that he has to be removed for doing Operation Searchlight. So he has to be more sort of extremist generals in place. Next, if you look at, there is a very famous book, Anthony Markenha's, about this Bangladesh's history and this war. Here they also mention why the Pakistani soldiers are there. And the soldiers were saying, we have come here to teach the Hindus a lesson for betraying our country. And it is also mentioned
the famous quote, Nasal Badal Denge.
Nasal Badal Denge. And also they used to check, like it happened in Pahalgaon, they actually used to check the genital organs of the males, and then based on that they used to decide whether this guy has to be killed or left behind, or be left aside. So this is how this happened. I have also another evidence. These are all well-known evidence. I mentioned it, some of them, but I have another evidence. It is from American researcher. Her name is Yvette Claire Rosser. She visited as a part of her PhD work Bangladesh in 1999-2000. She met many Bangladeshi intellectuals, and one professor in Dhaka University said he was traveling because sort of in between there is a time of lull before the storm, and it was thought that you can come back to Dhaka, things are normal. He was traveling and he ran into some Pakistani soldiers. He thought his gun. Then the Pakistani soldier said, okay, we have not come here to kill the Muslims. It is against our religion. We have only come here to kill the Hindus. That's what they said, and this is produced in the PhD thesis of Dr. Rosser. It is in University of Texas at Austin, that it is a PhD thesis there. So even an American is saying that. Because he is not a liberal, this testimony is cancelled. I mean, even though it's a very well researched thesis and all very recognized. Then, if you look at International Commission of Jurists, a very, very recognized body, they have mentioned in their report 1972, I have given all the references, that like it is a very important testimony given the importance of the organization at that time to give a very neutral way of looking at things. And they said that like the Nazis, they are against the state, against the Jews. Similarly, the Pakistan state was against the Hindus. So all these testimonies add up nothing but the fact that 1971 was not exactly a Bengali genocide, it is a Bengali Hindu genocide. Some Muslims, of course, I recognize that they have been murdered by the military. I salute them. In fact, I have a lot of respect for these secular Bengalis who may be Muslim by birth, but they are causing for their humanist cause. And as I have said, I have nothing against the Muslims. It is only about the narrative they are playing along. I have greatest respect for them. But the truth is that they were only victims because of some circumstantial reasons. The target was the Hindus, the Bengali Hindus of Bangladesh. That is what it is. Of course, in Bangladesh, if you go, it is not mentioned anywhere. The textbooks are silent about the Hindus' diet. In fact, the textbook, one reason why Dhirendranath Datta could not obtain, it is inferred, because he is a Hindu, he cannot get the main in heading. He has to be relegated to the footnote. Right. Similarly, this Hindu genocide, it is a sort of a crime in Bangladesh to talk about that Bengali Hindu genocide happened there.
No repercussions like the Jews, not even recognition.
Not even
in their own country.
For recognition,
like not even you can't play even victim card there.
Problem is the Hindu Bengalis, we have lost our narrative the day we lost Samaprasad. Because in some sense the communists, they were the collaborators of Muslim League in the partition. So when they assumed power, not only politically but also culturally, and every institution communists after getting power, they made every institution a sort of a communist institution. And those institutions erased the history of Bengal. And one end Bengal was a very prosperous province. Calcutta was that time Calcutta. That was the second greatest city after London in the entire British Empire. Now, Calcutta of course has fallen, it is not second even in Indian standard anywhere, it is probably not even in top 5 in India, among the great cities, most prosperous cities. But the point is, similarly it is an economic fall, but at the same time culturally also we have lost a lot of our.
As you rightfully mentioned that the Indian narrative part, that did
not happen there, and the role would not be done. There is a lot of Bengali compatriots who has tried to focus on that. Even I just heard that Vivek Agnihatri is making a film on Bengal. So some non-Bengalis are doing it, but the primary onus actually has to lie with the Hindu Bengalis. And I am not blaming Hindu Bengalis, I am just blaming the parasitic disease they got, which is called communism. This is what robbed their cultural identity.
I am also, sir, personally speaking, that I am also not personally, valicizing any Muslims, individual. But that's another matter maybe.
But the narrative, I am saying Islam, this is also a nuanced thing. The Islam, it need not be a very theoretical, dogma-driven religion. If you say that, then we are actually saying that this is not a good way to live, because we all live not based on theory, based on something codified. We all live based on our experience, we update ourselves. That is what we call the modern way of living, right?
So, sir, I can safely say that, as you mentioned, the very Calcutta massacre thing, it started from there, and 1971 is the climax. But still, there are some silent genocides still going on till date.
Exactly. So the issue is, this is what has been hijacked, and so there is a legal way of marginalizing the people. So what happens? You don't need to kill a big number of people. You do many small attacks. Suppose your daughter is going to school or somewhere, and when she is going, people, these ruffians, these goons, they are taunting her, right? If your son is going to start a business, the business will be stolen, looted. A small crime may not look actually religious crime itself, but if it is done against, so people get the message and then sort of move away, right? So this is how these Red Indians, they had the entire continent, which we call nowadays call American Indians or indigenous Indians, indigenous Americans. They were the owner of the entire American continent. Now it is possible that no big genocide happened against them, but the entire continent is gone. Except some reservations in America, they are lost the entire continent. Similarly, what happened with the Hindus is what is called their land is being grabbed by lawfare, what is nowadays called lawfare. The laws are sort of against them, and that sort of makes the case, makes or breaks the case. So what happens is that basically, if you look at this, there is a law called Enemy Property Act. So that was in Pakistan times.
Okay.
So this law basically says that if you think a Hindu has gone to India, you take his land.
Right.
And then basically if you powerfully, if you have power, muscle power, you grab the land and force the guy to be out, he has no choice but to go to India. Then you can say, well, he has gone to India, that's why I have taken the land. So this is the sort of a very common way of doing things. And this way, land of many prominent people like Dhirendranath Datto, Master Das Surya Sen, their families have also done this way. And then if you look at this act, Mujib did not repeal this act. He let it continue. And then eventually there is a loud uproar against the act, this act. He changed the name of the act called Vested Property Act, but essentially kept the same act. And they are robbing it. And one of the economics professor of Dhaka University, a very great humanist, his name is Dr. Abul Barkat. He has written many books and given statistics, and he has shown that Hindus has become landless. Half of the Hindus become landless because of this institutional way of taking the land, right? And of course, we know in the rural case, land is the prime livelihood. If it is gone, you have no way to survive, and then you will leave the place, right?
I am sure you also heard of this eyewitness testimonials, like fear into the Hindus to leave their land, their ancestral land, and go to India landless.
That is so. I have heard many testimonies, but so one thing I have assumed in this book, that Hindu testimonies could be biased also for own reasons, right? Like anyone's testimony could be biased.
Yes.
So my book actually focuses more on the numbers and what the Bangladeshis themselves are sort of saying from their point of view, right? So this is exactly the point of the book. So I am bringing a book very from a neutral perspective. I am not banking too much on Hindu testimonies, but on the numbers they are saying about.
Not that much neutral, sir, but still you have to give them the upper hand.
Because this book, so this book will persist. I wanted to write an academic book that will not be biased against anyone. So this has to be do it unbiased way.
Not even perceived as.
Not in a perceived as biased. So that is why I sort of, I mean, who knows who is sort of biased in which way, right? So I have to do a very neutral job, and this is what I have done it. And then of course you have seen these numbers. Hindus were like 28% in 1947. They have become like 17% before 71, and then they became 13% after 71, and then they have become 7%. And if the trend persists, Dr. Abul Barkat says it will be devoid of all Hindus by 2047. The point is, even after the big genocide in Noakhali, there is a lot of Hindus that did not become completely Hindu-less district. There are some Hindus, one or a few left. But the silent way of doing things, it will make Bangladesh completely devoid of Hindus in 100 years. So that's the silent genocide that is going on.
And we, people of West Bengal, especially the Bengalis of West Bengal in India, we are not even aware of it. We take no heed of it.
That is an unfortunate thing because of these communist ideas, these leftist ideas. Leftist ideas, as I told you, they have something written in their book, dogmas, and they think that's the reality. If the reality is different from that, they try to censor the reality. That they will cancel the reality, they will not talk about it.
What is unique about the communists in India? Their othering of Hindus.
That I have dealt with the other book, Majoritarian Myth. But I'll tell you something interesting. Amartya Sen, when they is being talked about that Hindus are losing land, he typically he has a narrative. He says it. I mentioned quoted in my book also, that it is a socialism. There is a land reform going on. That is why Hindus are losing their land. Hindus are rich. That's why they are losing. But the Abul Barker statistics shows Hindus have become landless. So it cannot be land reform. Land reform cannot make a land person with land landless and still call it progressive. That cannot be progressivism. But that's what these leftists like Amartya Sen are talking about. So what I am trying to say that Bangladesh is also, there are two reasons why every Indian should read book, not only Bengalis. One reason is Bangladesh is only a case study. This hijacking of the Bengali identity, it is happening other places also. Kashmiri Pandits, Sindhis, they are sort of displaced, and now Sindhi identity, which generally means the Pakistani Sindhis. The Kashmiri Pandits, they lost their Kashmiri identity, right? Kashmiri means Kashmiri Muslims only. Now, but if you look at, it is happening also in other states. I am not mentioning the names, but people would know if they study their thing. So this is a case study to know what is happening as an attack, cultural attack, to understand that. And the second reason is that it does not stop at Bangladesh. It will go to West Bengal, it will go to Jharkhand, and if West Bengal is lost, India's access to Northeast is lost. If India's access to Northeast is lost, already Muhammad Yunus is threatening India every other day about taking over Northeast. This is the idea of the Maulana Bhasani, the great ideologue of our Muslim League. If it is lost, then West Bengal is lost, then everything will be lost, and the idea of India will be a problem because we will lose a lot of big things. So this is why we must protect West Bengal. And must protect West Bengal, we need to know what is happening. We have to make it our narrative.
I also like to be optimistic about it, that the track record of the current government. So we maybe content to ourselves, and we will not to make them to happen that kind of things.
I am a little less optimistic, but of course, this government has done many good things as well. Let's see. After all, your merit is assessed by the difficulties of the challenge.
But sir, still there is the battle of narratives. It's all about battle of narratives, and as you said that it may the global media, the global audience may find it biased if you find some testimonies from the other side, from our side of the narrative. But still, it's a push. Your book is a push towards that narrative matters, and we can find evidences from the other side for the truth also. So thank you very much, sir. And I will tell the viewers, so please buy this book, read it. It's a very good read and full of information and novel information which we should know, the truth, the real truth about the country that is called Bangladesh and the historicity of it, how it happened.
Thank you for having me here.